Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NFL Week 18 early picks preview. Everything you need for NFL Week 18. I know we've come to the end of a fantasy football season, but there's still game picks, total plays, player prop bets, everything you need for NFL Week 18. We're here for it. So if you have questions, we have answers. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's had a really good week. I know this has been a really crazy, traumatizing week for all football fans. We'll absolutely get into that in just a moment, but hope everyone's having a good 2023. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you bring your fantasy football, NFL game pick questions. If you are in a championship week, we're certainly here for that. But of course, with sports gambling, we're going to be doing this every week. We don't need fantasy football to be able to bet on sports every week. Player prop bets might as well be fantasy football to me, so I do a lot of that. Make sure you throw your questions in the chat. We're going to be going through every game of NFL Week 18. And of course, we will be going through our picks as well. And I do want to start where, obviously, the last time we saw everyone, it was for the Monday Night Football game preview show. And who could have possibly thought that only an hour later we would have such an awful event occur? Demar Hamlin, obviously we not only pray for you, but we pray for your family. And I know that at this point that's a trite thing to say. We pray for someone, but all you can do in this world is truly think about someone, is to have them in your thoughts and in your heart. That's the most you can truly do for someone at any given time, and is to speak their name and hope that the universe does them well. And so Demar Hamlin, wherever you may be in your universal state, I hope the universe is with you, and I hope health comes to you, and we are all thinking about you and all praying for you. And like so many, I hope you've donated to his cause as well, an unbelievable cause, and I hope that you've donated to his charity, Chasing M's. That information is out there, so please make sure you check it out. But of course, the circumstances around that traumatic event, we will get into that because we talk sports. And the reason we've gone silent for a couple days is But Fumble Sports is a place for fun, a place for lightheartedness, a place for gambling or fantasy. And we certainly didn't think it was appropriate at the time for us to put content out. We will be talking sports because that's what humanity does. We look towards the next event to get hope, and that's where we're going to go now. But I hope everyone has Demar Hamlin in their thoughts, and in the next few days we speak his name as much as we can to bring him well wishes. I do want to call out one other thing from the entire event, and I do want to just say, for those who criticize ESPN, imagine during an event that you couldn't have possibly imagined, someone pulled you onto a studio set, put a light in front of you and said, talk. So Booger McFarland, I thought, did a brilliant job, despite clearly kind of cowering and shrinking. That moment was so intense, and I understand why people kind of criticized him or criticized Susie Colbert, but the awkwardness of that moment, journalists may try to prepare for it, but there's no way you possibly can. I do want to make special note, Ryan Clark was brilliant, and if you haven't seen Ryan Clark, and his comments during that Monday night broadcast, he was unbelievable. So rarely does a former player get an opportunity to speak to the country in that kind of moment, because usually we do make it about journalists talking to the nation. I thought Ryan Clark was phenomenal, and I certainly think it changes his career trajectory, and it changes what we all think of him. So those are my thoughts on Monday night, Demar Hamlin, the coverage that follows it. I would love to know your thoughts. Make sure you share them with us at Sports Fumble on Twitter. I would love to know what you guys thought of the coverage. I think we all know what we thought of the event, just how traumatizing it was, a reminder of just how human we all are, how human the men who play the game of football are. But also, I'm curious to know what you guys do think of the coverage and how ESPN responded to that. So make sure you share your thoughts with us on Twitter at Sports Fumble. We will move on. We will talk NFL Week 18. I know there are going to be variables and circumstances that surround this week that still throw certain things into question. We will talk those things out, but we will do it with a delicate, sensitive manner, because we understand that life and humanity is far more important than football. But that said, we're a sports network. We love talking sports, and that is why we're here. Yeah, Buck and Troy Aikman were outstanding as well. I thought they did a great job. And again, I think Joe Buck often is criticized for his humor, but you saw how amazing he was in a delicate moment where he had to emerge with pure humanity. So I want to commend them, everyone at ESPN. It also goes for producers as well. It goes for staff as well. And it goes for people who build graphics. As someone who's worked behind the camera, people who build graphics, it's about the sensitivity of the moment. It's about not putting out news before it's appropriate. It's about doing things in a very gentle, careful, thoughtful way. I thought ESPN was fantastic. So I definitely wanted to make my comments known. That said, that's everything that we'll talk about regarding that event. We will shift forward and talk about NFL Week 18. If you've got fantasy still going, if you're in a 2-week fantasy league, this is a crazy week with inactives and injuries and all the like. So make sure you throw your questions in the chat. For everyone else, we now turn our attention from fantasy maybe to gambling a little bit more. I have all my game picks, player prop bets, total plays, everything you need to cash on the week. So make sure you throw your questions in the chat. We also will do polls. Once we hit 5,000 likes, we'll do a quick poll. So again, we will do quick polls. We'll do everything like we did when the fantasy football season was going on. We'll just do a lot more gambling. Travis asks, Lions or the Packers? I do think the Packers are going to win that game. I like Packers on the money line. In part, it's the difference between Jared Goff at home, Jared Goff on the road. When Jared Goff is at Ford Field, he's been outstanding. He's actually been MVP caliber. But when he's on the road, he's just not as good. I trust Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau. I think he's going to be really successful. For that reason, I do like the Packers on the money line, Travis. Is Hurts playing this week? It sounds like, according to Adam Schefter, he will be. The Eagles need this game against the Giants. The Giants don't need it, but the Eagles do to shore up that number 1 seed. So I do expect that Jalen Hurts will play in that game. I don't think we're going to see Gardner Minshew unless it turns into a blowout. So Jalen Hurts, I do expect to be playing. Yeah, Gio, for I know so many, it seems like the NFL season is really about your team and then fantasy football. But for so many others, I would encourage you, consider player prop bets. To me, it really is fantasy, but it's just betting on individual players, and you get to pick a lineup of your own. It's a DFS of its own order. Yeah, Tyler, good question. What are they going to do with the week? I don't know, and I get the sense that they're not willing right now to suspend play for NFL Week 18. I think they're treating this as an event that impacts the league and impacts the players, but really is about 2 teams. And so unlike a 9/11, unlike a pandemic, I get the sense that the NFL isn't going to move NFL Week 18 to shift everything back and eat up that week that would normally be the bye week, between the conference championships and the Super Bowl. So I get the sense that we're just going to play this week. And I think in the NFL, in the back of their mind, they're almost hoping that the Ravens lose to the Steelers, that the Bills beat the Patriots, that certain things happen in such a way that kind of make the game that would have been on Monday night less relevant, because I know it had a lot of implications. So I think that's what the NFL is ultimately hoping for. My thoughts on the Chargers. I really like this team a lot. I'm interested to know what Charger fans think, because if you had lost out and missed out on the playoffs, you probably would have fired Brandon Staley and gotten Sean Payton, and that would have been a phenomenal upgrade in my mind at coaching. But I really like the roster of the Chargers. I just don't know if Brandon Staley's the right coach. And given that you could have had Sean Payton, will Justin Herbert's progress will it continue at the pace it should under Brandon Staley? And I love what the Chargers are building, but if you're going to take that giant leap forward, you look at what Josh Allen did with Brian Daboll. You want that quarterback having that high quality NFL, QB coach to be in their ear, whether it's as a head coach or as an offensive coordinator. Mahomes or Hurts, who's the MVP? I would go with Patrick Mahomes right now. Mike Evans, Cam Akers, or Drake London. That's an easy one for me. I would go with Cam Akers this week. I expect Mike Evans to be, sitting after that monster championship week he had for everybody. We'll do a quick poll in a little bit. We are going to go through all of our picks for this NFL Week 18. We will start with the Saturday games. The first game kicks off at 4:30 on Saturday between the 13-3 Kansas City Chiefs and the 6-10 Las Vegas Raiders. That game's going to be on ABC. Right now, where I see it, the Chiefs are a 9.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 52.5 points. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this game. I think the Chiefs ultimately need this one. Mahomes has been really good in his career against the Raiders, 8-1 record in his career, 26 passing touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes over 1.5 passing touchdowns is definitely a play I like this week if you're looking towards player prop bets. Do I think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs? I actually think they will. I think the Patriots are going to lose to the Bills. I think the Miami Dolphins are going to lose to the Jets. That gets the Steelers in if they win their game against the Browns with so much on the line. Mike Tomlin, I think, once again is going to have a winning season, keep that streak alive, and we'll get the Steelers into the playoffs, which to me is kind of like the Steelers this year are the Patriots last year. They'll get their rookie quarterback into the playoffs to get some extra development, but I don't necessarily think it means anything. I think they'll probably lose in the first game. Do you see the Giants in the Super Bowl? No, I don't. I don't necessarily think the Giants are going to make it past the Minnesota Vikings in that first round because they do have to go on the road. I do trust the Vikings at home a little bit more, but I'll be curious to know when they schedule that game. Is Kirk Cousins playing in a 1 p.m. window or is he playing in a prime time window? That'll be the question for me. Gio, is Prize Picks the best betting app? I don't know. I'm still testing out which betting apps are the best. I'm always curious to know what you guys think. I try out all kinds of them. What is your lock bet for the week? Okay, there are 2 thus far that have really stood out to me. One of them is I really like Steelers winning on the money line, and I like the under in that game as well. So Browns, Steelers under, I really like that play. I also think that I was going to say I changed this because Nathan Peterman was out, but I also really like the Houston Texans and the Colts under. So I think there are going to be a bunch of games that are under this week. Some of my locks are best bets of the week. We'll definitely check out at Sports Fumble on Twitter. We'll put out all of our best bet for the week. But that said, the underplays on a couple games, that's definitely where I'm leaning for my best bets. What are my thoughts on Daboll, Super Bowl? Yeah, not this year. I think he's got a chance in the coming years. I think he's got to build that roster a little bit more. Will T. Higgins play still or no? Look, I'm not going to make T. Higgins a thing. I think T. Higgins could have been any player on the Cincinnati Bengals. So I hope that he isn't feeling like he can't play. I hope his mental wellness is there because I don't think T. Higgins did anything wrong. So I don't put anything on T. Higgins. Jimmy, can we get some anytime touchdowns for this week? I absolutely will put some of those out. Just thinking about the Saturday games, I certainly would consider Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. The last time he played the Raiders was that 4-touchdown performance. So I do like that. I also would consider like a Pacheco or a Jerick McKinnon. I think the running game in the red zone might be, good opportunities. That said, when it comes to the Titans-Jaguars game, I think, if you're going to bet anybody on the Titans, it's Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. And as for Jacksonville, I haven't done my research yet, but I'm curious to know, given how bad the Tennessee Titans defense is against the pass, what an anytime touchdown is for Kirk or Zay Jones or Evan Ingram. I think the passing game is going to be really big for the Jaguars this week. So I want to see what those odds are. I'll definitely check it out later this week. So someone that is in a 2-week championship, down by 15 in the championship, Mahomes, Kelce, A.J. Brown. Well, first of all, you're in really good shape to start because those 3 will be playing and will have a lot of activity. Keenan Allen, maybe less so. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled him. Cam Akers is good. McCaffrey, I don't think he's going to get a lot of action. Saquon Barkley, I don't think McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley are going to be plays this week simply because I don't see the incentive for their teams to start them. So I would expect you to want to find somebody else. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you're following us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. That way you know every time we go live. And you can check out all of my rants. I put out rants about all the games, all the things that go down, not just in the NFL, but across sports. You'll want to check those out. I just did one on the Red Sox re-signing Rafael Devers. Okay, Rich asks, does Lamar Jackson play this week? The answer is not only no, but things aren't looking good in the relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. It's been reported that the Ravens wanted Lamar Jackson to come back in that game just before Christmas. Not only did he not come back, he still hasn't practiced. So you're starting to wonder if that preseason no contract being settled before the season kicked off, if that ultimately has gotten enough friction where this relationship has just splintered. I think Lamar Jackson will play in the postseason game, but if he's not practicing now, how effective is he going to be in 1 week from now when he should be getting ready for a playoff game? I think the Ravens are in a really bad spot. I think John Harbaugh has done a really good job of managing it with Tyler Huntley, but if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm concerned about Lamar Jackson, and it's not just for Week 18 or for this playoff, run. It is for the future. Do you want to franchise tag a guy who's not willing to play for you? Now, maybe that's just because he's trying to protect himself and protect his bag, but the Baltimore Ravens should be a bit concerned. Will the Raiders beat the Chiefs? No, they won't. The Chiefs need this game. They're going to beat the Raiders. I'm not concerned about it at all. I think it's going to be a comfortable win. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us at Butt Fumble Sports. Micah, what do you want to talk to us about? Let us know. If you let us know, I might go for it. Do you think the Bengals and Bills game will be played? No, I don't. I ultimately think that the NFL is going to look for opportunities to not play that game. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Let's do our first quick poll of the evening. Our first quick poll will be about two quarterbacks that are playing going head-to-head. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports. So let's do our first quick poll of the evening. Once we do our quick poll, we'll go through a number of our picks this week. Our first quick poll of the evening, who will have more passing touchdowns? Which quarterback will have more passing touchdowns is our first poll question of the evening. This one relates to the Sunday night football game between the Lions and the Packers. So which quarterback will have more passing touchdowns? Smiley face Jared Goff, crying face Aaron Rodgers. Let's do this quick poll to start the evening. Which quarterback will have more passing touchdowns? Smiley face Jared Goff, crying face Aaron Rodgers. What do you guys think? Doing a quick poll as we preview NFL Week 18, the first poll question of the evening, smiling face Jared Goff, crying face Aaron Rodgers. Which quarterback will have more passing touchdowns? Interestingly enough, Jared Goff off to a fast start. Which quarterback will have more passing touchdowns in NFL Week 18? Smiley face Jared Goff, crying face Aaron Rodgers. Make sure you follow us to get all of our picks at Butt Fumble Sports. Doing our first quick poll of the evening, Jared Goff out to a big lead thus far. Smiley face Jared Goff, crying face Aaron Rodgers. Which quarterback will have more passing touchdowns in Week 18? And it looks like Jared Goff is your guys' answer for this one. I'm going to go in the other direction. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been much better at home this year. Jared Goff has struggled on the road. I prefer Aaron Rodgers in this game, and I do think it will be through the air. I think that Lions secondary can easily be attacked. So I do like Aaron Rodgers getting more passing touchdowns than Jared Goff. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports to get all of my game picks, total plays, player prop bets. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. If you go to Instagram, you'll get my best bets every week. We put those out. We'll put that out Friday, so make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. Speaking of the games this week, we just went through the Chiefs and the Raiders. I gave some information on that, but let's go through some of the trends for that game. The Chiefs are 13-6 against the spread in their last 19 meetings in Las Vegas. The Raiders are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 home games. The over is 5-0 in the last 5 meetings between the two teams. The Butt Fumble Sports pick for the Chiefs and the Raiders is Kansas City on the money line. The Raiders to cover plus 9.5 after I buy the points, and I do like the under. So it's Chiefs money line, Raiders to cover, and I do like the over for the Chiefs and Raiders game. One more time, the Butt Fumble Sports pick of the game for the Saturday 4:30 kickoff game between Kansas City and Las Vegas is Chiefs on the money line, the Raiders to cover, and the over. Let us know what you guys think and what your picks are for NFL Week 18. Would love to know your picks, player prop bets, total plays. I'm going to give out all of them throughout the next hour and 40 minutes, giving out all my picks for NFL Week 18. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports. Yeah, the Packers special teams right now is absolutely unmatched. Nixon is absolutely a superstar in the making. Mike, I'll let you come on in a little minute. We'll get to that first, but I want to get to all of our player picks first, our game picks first. Is Purdy going to go 5-0 against the Cards? We will get to that game, but a teaser, yes. Absolutely. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. TikTok is OK4. I'm right there with you. I actually like the Raiders plus 9.5. In part, it's from what I saw with Jared Stidham last week. He was much more productive than I expected. I think he had good chemistry with Davante Adams, worked well in that Josh McDaniels offense, and I think the Raiders have at least something to be competitive about. They don't like the Chiefs. I think it's a rivalry game that turns things up a notch, but it's also a lot of guys playing for their career right now, playing for reputation, playing for their spot on the Raiders in 2023. So I actually like the Raiders to cover that game. I don't think there's any way that Davante Adams isn't a Raider next year. I think the franchise kind of made their decision. They're going with Josh McDaniels, they're going with Davante Adams, and they're letting Derek Carr go. So if you think you can't have, the tricycle, they found the 2 wheels that they're going to ride. It's McDaniels, it's Adams, it's Derek Carr that's going to be an Indianapolis Colt next year. Danny, Jamal, or Moss? I'm going to lean towards Zach Moss going up against the worst run defense in the league. So I'd lean towards Zach Moss, Danny. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. The next game on Saturday, kicking off at 8:15, is the 7-9 Tennessee Titans against the 8-8 Jacksonville Jaguars. That game is on ABC. This game will determine who wins the AFC South. Right now, the Jaguars are a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 40 points. Some gambling trends for you before I give my picks. The Titans are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 meetings in Jacksonville, while the Jaguars are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. The under is 9-3 in the last 12 meetings in Jacksonville, and the under is 4-0 in the Titans' last 4 Saturday games. For this one, I like Jacksonville on the money line. I like the Titans to cover plus 8 after I buy a 1.5, and I like the under 41.5 as well. That's Jacksonville on the money line, Titans to cover after I buy the 1.5, and the under in the game between the Titans and the Jaguars. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports. That way you get all of my picks, game picks, total plays, player prop bets. If you follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Butt Fumble Sports, you'll get all of my picks right before game. Or I should say game time. Daniel, what is fantasy going to do since the injury? I don't know. I think they may just cancel out who was ever playing in that game and say you just cut out that week and it's going to be treated as a 0 or it's going to be treated as a null and void. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports. Andrews or Adams, I would prefer Davante Adams in that situation. Thomas. Is the Bears trade for Chase Claypool worse than the D-Hop trade? Well, I actually like the Chase Claypool trade. It's just not for this year. So don't even think about it as a trade that was intended for this year. It's for next year. I think it's an investment for next year. It was simply a way of just adding some talent around him that you knew you could slot in for 2023, given that you have a lot of draft picks, a lot of capital that you can spend. You just wanted to slot in some guys that you knew were on the roster. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm not overthinking how, was that trade a win or a loss? You haven't seen the returns on it yet. That said, when he's healthy, you hope he's involved in the offense quite frequently. The D-Hop trade, yeah, I don't understand why the Houston Texans made that trade. It goes down as one of the worst trades of all time. Should Doug Peterson be coach of the year? I don't think so. I think it should probably be Brian Daboll. I understand why Doug Peterson is going to get a ton of votes. I actually think that the Jaguars are a more talented roster than the Giants, and they play in a worse division. That's why I'd give it to Brian Daboll. I think he had a tougher coaching job. I know Urban Meyer and the Jaguars are a mess, but they actually had a talented roster, and they play in a bad division. So for them to make the playoffs, a lot of credit. But to me, it's not Doug Peterson. It shouldn't be coach of the year. It should be Brian Daboll. How do I feel about Danny Dimes now? Yeah, I love the Danny Dimes defenders that called me out a few weeks ago who are now asking for receipts, and they're totally right. I got it wrong. Danny Dimes has been amazing. Daniel Jones, he's been fantastic. And it's not just at home. It's not just on the road. It's everywhere. He's playing consistently well through the air, on the ground. I'm really impressed. Obviously, Brian Daboll's made a lot of contributions to Jones's progression. But Daniel Jones doesn't have a great team around him, doesn't have great wide receivers or offensive line. Everybody knows Saquon Barkley is going to get the ball a lot. So Daniel Jones really has elevated my expectations far beyond what they were even a few weeks ago with how he's played, made this team look better. He's making Hodgins and Richie James look like talented receivers. So for all those Daniel Jones defenders, you totally got me. And this is one where I'm more than happy to change my opinion. I'm more than happy to take in new evidence and think something new. I'm not going to be stubborn and get stuck in my ways. Daniel Jones, you're proving me wrong. I'm more than happy to eat my words. I hope it continues. I don't think it will. I think in the battle between Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones, I do think Kirk Cousins is going to win. But interesting game between two guys who have a lot of haters, have a lot of defenders, but have a lot of haters. Whoever wins that playoff game, it'll say a lot about them and their career. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Rodgers or Minshew? Well, Minshew's not going to start. Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter, so I definitely go with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good game anyways. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports. Who is a sleeper QB that I could grab since Tua and Justin are out and doubtful? Well, check to see if Mike White's available. Mike White might be a really good play. That's definitely someone I would consider. I'm not going to be as crazy to be like, go find Sam Howell, who, if you didn't know, the Washington Commanders are not starting Carson Wentz or Taylor Heineke. They're going with the rookie Sam Howell out of UNC. But other quarterbacks that you may want to consider off the waiver wire, you may want to think of Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett might be a nice guy to pick up. Start for Kittle, Burrow, Goff, Diggs, Pittman, Waller, Kamara in a 2 QB league. Okay, so the challenge with this question is it's gonna strike on what is the main story of this week, which is do you play Buffalo Bills players? How do we feel like the Buffalo Bills are going to perform? Is that game going to be delayed until Sunday night, Monday, another time during the week? I don't know, but the 4 I would definitely start are Joe Burrow. I would start Waller. I would start Diggs, and I would start. If it's a 2 QB league, can you start both Burrow and Goff? If you can, do that. But I do Burrow, Diggs, Waller, and Kamara. Evan Ingram or Goddard. Danny, I would go with Evan Ingram. Danny, I'd go Evan Ingram. Biggest player disappointment this year in the NFL, in my opinion, is Allen Robinson. That's a good take. Allen Robinson has been really disappointing this year. I absolutely agree with that. I'm trying to think of who are some of the others who would kind of be in that category. He's pretty high up there. I tend to agree with that one. Allen Robinson is definitely one of the most disappointing players of the year. Waller or Kittle? I would go with Darren Waller. I think George Kittle maybe sat and protected a little bit by the 49ers, so I'd be a little bit hesitant to use him. So I would lean towards Darren Waller. Garrett asks, start two, Leonard Fournette, Akers, and McKinnon. That's an easy one for me. It's Cam Akers and McKinnon. I don't see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wanting to risk their running back and get him injured. So it's Cam Akers and McKinnon for me. Mark Badger asks, Najee Harris versus the Browns. I actually do like that. The Browns are a bad run defense, so I think Najee Harris will have a good game. Pacheco or Swift? Ooh, that's an interesting one. I'll lean just slightly towards DeAndre Swift, just slightly, only because the Lions are going to need him so much in that game. They're going to ride him a little bit more. Pacheco, one of many mouths to feed for the Kansas City Chiefs, so I'm going to lean just slightly towards Swift. Luca. Drew, if you can start both quarterbacks, do that. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports, giving out another game pick for this upcoming week. The 7-9 Cleveland Browns play the 8-8 Pittsburgh Steelers on CBS. That game's at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Right now, the Steelers are a 3-point favorite, and the over-under is set at 40 points. Some gambling trends before I give my picks. The Browns are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 meetings in Pittsburgh. That's 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 meetings in Pittsburgh, while the Steelers are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games overall. The under is 6-0 in the Browns' last 6 games overall. The under is 9-2 in the Steelers' last 11 home games. The Fumble Sports pick of the game for Cleveland against Pittsburgh is the Steelers on the money line and the under. I love the under. I love the Steelers on the money line. Both of those, I think, are 2 best bets of the week. I think both of those are locks. Steelers on the money line and the under in that Browns and Steelers game. Do you think James Conner will play this week? I don't think even if he does, I think there's a chance he could get pulled by the end of the first quarter. I don't see him getting nearly as many opportunities as he would if he were a younger player. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury would want to hurt him or run him into the ground knowing that we're about to head into the offseason. Even though Cliff Kingsbury won't be head coach of the Cardinals after next Monday. Should I play Higbee or Jawan Johnson? I would play Tyler Higbee. He's got that good connection with Baker Mayfield. The Rams seem to be going for it down this stretch, and they've got a big game against the Seattle Seahawks. You know Sean McVay and the Rams would love to play the role of spoiler, so I think Higbee, Baker Mayfield, and the Rams could actually have a pretty good game. Najee, Mike Evans, Ingram, a good start this week. So you're saying Evan Ingram. Yeah, I love Evan Ingram this week. He's definitely one of my favorite tight ends. As for Najee Harris, I think he's a good play as well. So Sheila, Elias, I really like those 2 plays. When can people do 2023 fantasy mock drafts? Well, as soon as they can. I assure you we'll be doing them right there with you and giving you advice on how to prepare for next season. And that way you make sure you win your championship either again or for the first time. Maybe some of you haven't won a championship before. Tom Brady or Mahomes, that's a no-brainer. It's Mahomes. I don't expect Tom Brady to either play or to be involved in the game too much. So I think Patrick Mahomes is definitely the play. I think Taysom Hill might be actually a good play, given the Saints are just going to throw the kitchen sink at it. I actually think he could be a good play. Let's do another quick poll. This quick poll is about that Titans-Jaguars game. Which team do you think is going to cover the spread? The Titans are plus 6.5. The Jaguars minus 6.5. Let's do a quick poll. Smiling face Titans, crying face Jaguars. Which team covers the spread? Smiling face Titans, crying face Jaguars. Which team covers the spread Saturday night? Doing a quick poll. Titans plus 6.5. Jaguars minus 6.5. Which team covers the spread on Saturday? Smiley face Titans, crying face Jaguars. Smiling face Titans, crying face Jaguars. Which team covers the spread Saturday night? Smiling face Titans, crying face Jaguars. Which team covers the spread? Spread right now is 6.5. So it would be Titans 6.5, smiley face, Jaguars minus 6.5, crying face. Let us know what you guys think as we do this quick poll. I gave out my pick for this one a moment ago. Let's see what you guys think. Titans plus 6.5, hit the smiley face. Jaguars minus 6.5, hit the crying face. Let us know what you guys think. And you guys say the Jaguars to cover minus 6.5. I agree with you. If I bought the points, I would lean towards the Titans. But for now, at 6.5, I like the Jaguars to cover that. I think the Jaguars do get 7 points. I think they're going to win by a touchdown. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. If you want more of my picks, make sure you're following us, especially on Instagram. You'll get my best bets. I'll put those out on Friday. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports. What's the process for the suspended game? I think we're in uncharted territory. I think for fantasy, you just need to think of NFL Week 17 is over. Just assume that game's not going to be played. As for the league, I think the only way it's played is if the repercussions, the circumstances around it are so important that they have to. But right now, I don't think they want to. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Who do you think I should pick up in place of McCaffrey, Barkley, or Keenan Allen? Let us know some of the players that are out there on your waiver wire, and we'll let you know if they're good plays. Will Bijan Robinson be a fantasy steal next year? 100%. I love rookie running backs. I like them for the first 2-3 months of the season. Usually by December, they fade off. But you usually can get them at a really discounted rate if you play auction. If you play snake draft, you can get them later in the draft. I love rookie running backs. They usually come in with a spark. People don't necessarily know their running style, so they get some opportunities to get some big gains. I also think Bijan Robinson is an absolute stud. Obviously, it depends on the offensive line, the team they join, but I think Bijan Robinson could be absolutely a fantasy steal next year. Do you think Justin Herbert and Eckler are playing the whole game? No, I don't. No, I don't expect they will, especially Eckler. Godwin or Andrews, you got to go Mark Andrews. The Ravens have something to play for. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't. I don't see why the Bucs would want to risk Godwin given his injury history. So Mark Andrews for me. Pick 2, Chubb, Pollard, Etienne, or Algier. Well, this one is more based around which teams have the most on the line and are willing to risk their players. You got to go Travis Etienne. He's definitely going to be a play. I know he's going up against a tough run defense, but I would lean towards starting Travis Etienne. And the other one's Tyler Algier. I think the Falcons want to see, again, what they have out of the rookie. I think Nick Chubb, I don't see why the Browns would want to risk him, run him into the ground in a game against the Steelers that has no meaning for them. If I'm the Browns, I'm being very careful with Chubb. I'm being careful with Deshaun Watson. I don't want to risk my 2023 season on the first, the last game of the 2022 season. So I wouldn't do that if I'm the Browns. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us. That way you know every time we go live. Sam I Am, just wanted to thank you for your advice over the previous weeks. Came in second in my league rookie year. Sam I am grateful for the comment. Appreciate that you've been a loyal follower and viewer. I wish you well. If you play other fantasy sports, we're definitely here for it. We'll be doing NBA and baseball in the coming weeks and months. That said, Fumble Sports isn't going anywhere, so I hope you're following us, Sam I Am. Want to give out another game pick that I have for this week. We now go to the New York Jets that come in 7-9. They travel down to South Beach to play the Miami Dolphins, who are 8-8. That game is on Fox. Despite it being two AFC teams, that game is on Fox. Right now, the Jets are a 1-point favorite while being the road team. The over-under set at 38.5 points. A couple gambling trends for you before I break this game down. The Jets are 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6 meetings in Miami. while the Dolphins are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games against AFC East opponents. The under is 4-0 in the Jets' last 4 games overall. The under is 6-1 in the Dolphins' last 7 home games. I love the under in this game. The Butt Fumble Sports pick for Jets and Dolphins is absolutely the under. I would consider that one of my favorite bets of the week. Really like the under in that game. That said, I'd also take the Jets to cover. The Jets are getting -1 right now. I feel like they really should be at like -2.5. Given the quarterback situation of the Miami Dolphins, I see the Jets having more fight in them right now. The Dolphins, I know they have something on the line because if they win, they could get into the playoffs. But I think the Jets are the better team. Mike White's going to be playing. I think Robert Saleh wants to finish the season strong. This team, they're so close to finishing just under 500. An 8-9 year for the Jets would be a major accomplishment. So I think the Jets will cover, but I love the under in the Jets-Dolphins game. That's absolutely a bet that I'd be making this week. Make sure you're following us at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So TP breaks. I love Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams would absolutely be one of the guys I'd go with. Jamal Williams and J.K. Dobbins, 100% would be the two. I'd absolutely go with them. Let me know who are the wide receivers to replace Allen. But for Christian McCaffrey and Barkley, it's Jamal Williams and J.K. Dobbins for me. Not even a question about it. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us. Todd, appreciate the love. Listened to you and coasted to the finals. I hope you had a successful finals as well. Appreciate all of your guys' support and loyalty and following us. You guys have been a great audience. How did my league handle the championship this past weekend? Well, I do ESPN leagues, and ESPN, I thought they handled this well. You treat it like the game was canceled. You treat it like the game just didn't get played, and for that reason, if you had someone who was in that game, I guess you got the worst of it. But given the circumstances and everything else, I think it's one of the few times people are going to be able to accept a fantasy loss. So. Do you think players will start playing more timid because of this injury? I thought about that, and the answer is yes. Yes, I absolutely think they will. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be everyone across the league, but I do think, especially for the two teams, this is what I'm curious about most when it comes to the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. When you step on the field, I feel like you have to have a recklessness that is bred into football players and coached into football players and trained into them, where you have to throw your body around and not think of the repercussions. Just totally turn off that part of your brain. And I'm curious to know if those two teams can still do that at the speed that they'll play against. That Patriots-Bills game, I'm really interested to see. That's a Patriots team that needs a win to get into the playoffs. They're going to be fighting. They're going to be flying around. They're going to be doing everything they can to win. Where will the Bills be? Mentally, emotionally, physically, where will the Bills be? I'm really curious about that one. It's one of the reasons I don't know how I'm going to bet it yet. I like the Patriots to cover that game. Right now, I do think the game is going to be played on Sunday. We'll see if it gets moved back out of some sensitivity from the NFL. But I do like the Patriots to cover that game because I just don't know how, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, or rather, if you're a Buffalo Bills player, how you're flying around the field with the same reckless abandonment that you had just a few days ago. Thoughts on Zay Jones this week? Love Zay Jones this week. Think he's a great play. The Tennessee Titans are one of the worst defenses against the pass in the NFL. I think the Jaguars are going to come out there to make a statement against the Titans. So I really like Zay Jones this week. Let's do another game pick for this week. Let's move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. Bucs are 8-8. They locked up the NFC South. They're going to the playoffs. They'll most likely play the Dallas Cowboys in that first round matchup. They go up against a Falcons team that's 6-10. This game is on Fox. Where I see it, the Falcons are a 4-point favorite. The over-under is set at 40.5 points. Some gambling trends on this game before I give you my analysis. The Buccaneers are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 road games. The Falcons are just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 home games. The over is 5-1 in the last 6 meetings in Atlanta. The under is 6-1 in the Bucs' last 7 road games, and the under is 5-0 in the Falcons' last 5 games overall. I like the under in this one. It's definitely the play that I'll be making. I guess I would say go with Falcons on the money line. As crazy as that sounds, I think the Buccaneers are completely punting on this game, but I do love the under for it. So under in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Atlanta Falcons game is the play for me. Thoughts on James Conner? I don't expect that he'll play too much. I don't see why that the Arizona Cardinals would want to run him in the ground in the last week of the season. Rod Valdez, congratulations on being a co-champ. I know you've been a loyal follower and listened to a lot of our advice. So happy to hear that you won your leagues. Make sure you guys share out your championships and share that hashtag. So tweet out a screenshot of your championship roster or your championship standings, and then hashtag ButtFumbleSports. Tweet it out. Let us know at SportsFumble on Twitter or hashtag at ButtFumbleSports on Instagram. I would love to see all of these champions bragging, showing it off, letting us see how you guys did such a great job this year. Yeah, exactly. You got to celebrate. You guys won a championship. You guys need to celebrate. I'm also curious to know, for those who do this in their league, what are the punishments in your league? I'm always curious to know, how do you guys punish the guy in last place or punish the team in last place? I don't have a punishment in my league. I've been thinking of installing one for years. Really curious to know if you guys have one. If you do, share it in the chat. I'd love to know what it is. The one chip challenge. Oh man, yeah, that would. I'd want to win that league. TP breaks. Palmer, Brown, Richie James, McKenzie, Jones, Tony. Okay, TP breaks. I would consider Palmer because Keenan Allen will probably get less time. I think Palmer could be a good play. I also like Kadarius Toney. I think Randall Cobb would be the other one. So, is that Marvin Jones too? Okay, the ones I would go with TP breaks, I think I lean towards, first of all, I think I'd go with Randall Cobb. I think Randall Cobb is probably the safest play. Marvin Jones, number 2. Kadarius Toney, number 3. Okay, Evan Ingram or Schultz this week, that's a no-brainer for me. I'd go with Evan Ingram. I would go with Evan Ingram, no-brainer. You think the Bills-Bengals game will be canceled? Yes, I do. I don't think that game will be replayed. Punishment is a milk mile or shock collar. Wow, you guys don't screw around. If you're doing a shock collar, you guys are not playing around with the team that comes in last place. Okay, the milk mile, does that mean you have to drink a gallon of milk as you run a mile? Like what is that? Let us know what some of your fantasy football punishments are for the team in last place. I'm thinking of installing one. I'm curious to know. Punishment is full body wax. Oh my God. Oh, wow. The 40-year-old virgin scene just came to mind. Wow. Okay. Does that also mean you gotta shave the top? Like, are you literally hairless from head to toe? Because if so, wow, that is clean. Losing one eyebrow in ours. Okay, duffel bag. All right, I think that's kind of, by the way, once you shave one, don't you just want to shave the other? Isn't it more awkward to have one than, I don't know. You drink a gallon and run. Wow. Okay, so you're just saying you make your friend vomit. Like, I love how we sometimes come up with a punishment. It's like, what's the punishment? No, I'm just making him vomit. Your head as well. Wow. Okay, you guys got some passionate punishments. In mine, they have to pay another entry fee, and it goes to the regular season. See, I think cash compensations is a little bit more normal as opposed to you guys who are in your, third world fantasy torture chamber of shock collars and miracle mile of milk drinking. But that said, I think it's very funny, and I think this year I need to install something. It really is about the teams that at the end of the year aren't even filling in their lineup. That to me is like, okay, that's shock collar worthy. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Let's do another quick poll. Now that we have so many people in the chat. Let's do another quick poll. This quick poll will be about the Philadelphia Eagles. Should the Eagles start Jalen Hurts this week? Smiley face yes, crying face no. Let us know what you guys think. Doing a quick poll. Smiley face yes, crying face no. Should the Eagles start Jalen Hurts this week? Let us know what you guys think. Smiley face yes, crying face no. Number 1 seed on the line. Should the Eagles start Jalen Hurts this week? Smiley face yes, crying face no. Let us know what you guys think. Should the Eagles start Jalen Hurts this week? Man, a barn burner of a poll right now. Should Jalen Hurts be the starting quarterback for Week 18? Smiley face yes, crying face no. Are the Eagles smart, dumb? Is this the right decision? Smiley face, start Jalen Hurts, crying face, sit him. It is a must-win for them if they want to hold on to that number 1 seed. They play a Giants team that I expect to have a lot of backups in there. Smiley face, start Hurts, crying face, start Gardner Minshew. What do you guys think? What should the Philadelphia Eagles do? Smiley face, start Jalen Hurts, crying face, sit Jalen Hurts. Coming down to the final seconds of this poll. This is a close one. And you guys say sit him. I'm in the other direction just slightly. I think you need this game. I think the injury to Lane Johnson is devastating for the Eagles. For that reason alone, I think they need to play Hurts. I think they need to win this game. And so, given you could play Hurts, get out to a big lead, and maybe sit him in the second half, that's what I do. I would play him, though, this week. So I'm going in a different direction than you guys. Lions or Packers? I like the Packers on the money line in that game, J-Dog. I like the Packers on the money line. TP, I gave you better options at the running back position, though. I like the options I gave you more than those. Blease, the only reason I don't feel that way is you're starting him to win a game to then have a bye week, so you're kind of getting the rust off to then get the rust back on to then get it off again. To me, it actually is about getting the bye week so that you have health for guys like Lane Johnson. I think that's actually the real win. Yeah, the only way to get the 1 seed, and I think the 1 seed is critically important for the Philadelphia Eagles. Who do you like next year as a breakout running back or wide receiver? It's a good question. Next year, there are a couple teams I obviously have my eye on immediately. It starts for me, with Justin Herbert. I think he's going to have a monster year next year. I think he's coming into his own. That said, I also think Joe Burrow at this point is such a quality quarterback. And again, when I say this, I'm really talking about their wide receivers. So if I like Joe Burrow, I love Jamar Chase. But these aren't breakout candidates. So if you wanted like a breakout candidate, who's someone... I mean, Chris Olave kind of broke out this year. I think he's going to continue to make strides next year. So I could see Olave continuing to be a star. I mean, Garrett Wilson, it just depends on what the Jets situation is. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones, he really had a good second half of the year. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones could be a really good player next year. You know, whoever the New York Giants draft at wide receiver could be a good play, because if they're going to keep Daniel Jones, they need a number 1 wide receiver. It'll probably come through the draft. So anyways, just throwing out a few names. Tom Brady to the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, I've heard that rumor too. It's got more validity to it than it probably should, because Josh McDaniels, because the free agency situation, Derek Carr being on the move certainly contributes to that as well. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. So this draft class, I'll just note, is an unbelievable draft class for tight ends. This is going to be one of the best draft classes in a long time for tight ends. So that's kind of the position that I've really got my eye on. So there's some good defensive line talent. I love the tight ends in this draft, though. Wide receiver, not as loaded as it's been in past years. There are definitely some that are out there, but you don't have the wide receivers at Alabama or LSU like you've had in past years. So this wide receiver class isn't as impressive to me. So for that reason, there isn't someone who stands out to the same level. Should I start Josh Jacobs? I would. I think Josh Jacobs is worth starting, absolutely. I think he will get touches. Is Nick Chubb a top 5 next year? My only concern is he's getting to that point in his career where I could see him starting to break down. I'll have him on the fringes of the top 5, but I see him closer to 5 than I do to number 1. I really think he's going to be more of a 6 through 10. I think he could fall outside the top 5 next year. I also think Deshaun Watson being a bigger part of that offense means they'll just run the ball less. So I do think Nick Chubb is going to be either number 5 or fall out of the top 5 next year. Make sure you're following us at ButtFumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at SportsFumble on Twitter. I'll be quick with this game pick. I like the Minnesota Vikings on the money line, and I like the Vikings to cover. The Nathan Peterman's going to be the starting quarterback for the Bears. They have a 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. I like the Vikings in that game. Spreads move to 7.5. I like the Vikings to cover. I like the Vikings on the money line. I think the Bears with Nathan Peterman, nothing about that I like. Make sure you're following us at ButtFumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at SportsFumble on Twitter. If you've got fantasy questions, gambling questions, game pick questions, all of it, we're here for it. Make sure you're following us. Okay, I'm going to do a quick poll. Even though we only have a few people in here, I'm going to do a quick poll. Do you guys want me, when people ask to join the conversation, do you want me to let them join or do you not? Smiley face, yes, let them join. Crying face, no, don't let them join. What do you guys think I should do? When people ask to join the conversation, do you think I should let them join or not? Smiley face, yes, let them join. Crying face, no, don't let them join. Smiling face, let them join. Crying face, don't let them join. When people ask to join the conversation, do you guys just want to hear me keep talking sports, or do you want me to let someone else come up here and talk sports with me? Smiling face, yes. Crying face, no. Should I let someone else join the conversation? Clearly the no's have it. You guys prefer me just talking sports on my own, so I'll certainly do that. I get the vibe. I appreciate all of you guys joining us. I hope all of you guys are hitting that follow and subscribe button at ButtFumble Sports. TikTok is okay for any advice on how to break into sports media. Okay, 2 pieces of advice. The first thing is reach out to me at ButtFumble Sports on Instagram, at ButtFumble Sports on Instagram. More than happy to talk to you and talk it through with you. The other thing is join ButtFumble Sports. We are actually a sports content company that's made for the fan, and we're actually recruiting every fans. If you guys love talking sports, we want to give you the opportunity to do it for a living. So reach out to me at ButtFumble Sports. Do you think A.J. Brown is a start? I think he is a start this week, yes. Maybe once a week a guest. That would be an interesting play, duffel bag. Okay, once a week, I'm for it. What do you think about Justin Jefferson to start in a fantasy lineup? Yeah, because I actually think he could have a big game in even the limited time he's on the field. So yes, I would start him. Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck? You got to go with Mickey Mouse. Donald Duck doesn't have pants on. I mean, Donald literally is just streaking through every cartoon he's in. You got to go Mickey Mouse. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're following us at ButtFumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. sure you're following us. We're all our gambling. Make sure you throw your questions in the chat, answering all of your fantasy and gambling questions for NFL Week 18. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports. If you've got questions about NFL Week 18, we have answers. We'll be doing some more polls, giving out more picks, whether it's fantasy, gambling, player prop bets, total plays, everything you need for NFL Week 18. Make sure you're following us and make sure you're throwing your questions in the chat at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube, at Sports Fumble on Twitter. So make sure you're following, make sure you're subscribing. What's up, bro? Marius, how you doing? Appreciate all of you joining us. If you've got questions about NFL Week 18, make sure you throw them in the chat. We'll be answering all of your questions, whether it's fantasy, gambling. It can be a game pick, total play, player prop bet. We've got it all. Will Justin Jefferson sit Week 18? Nope, he's going to play. I think he's worth playing too. Steelers, will they make the playoffs? Yes, I think they will. I see the Patriots and the Dolphins both losing and the Steelers winning. I think the Steelers sneak their way into the playoffs. If you've got questions about NFL Week 18, throw them in the chat. We're here to answer all of them. It could be fantasy, gambling, game picks, total plays, player prop bets, everything you guys need for NFL Week 18. We're here for all of it. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You think Denver will pull the upset? I really actually think that's a possibility, Tucker. I like Denver to cover that game. Whether they actually win on the money line, I don't know if I'd be that bold, given I'd have to bet on Russell Wilson. But I do like Denver on the cover. They have a lot to fight for. Russell Wilson has a lot to prove. So I like Denver to cover the spread on that one. What about Chris Godwin? Chris Godwin's not going to play. I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will want to risk him and his injury history. So I think he's a sit. Keenan Allen, I don't expect to get a lot of playing time, even if he starts the game, maybe a quarter or two. But after that, I would expect the Chargers to sit him. If you've got questions about NFL Week 18, throw them in the chat. Here to answer all of your questions, whether it's fantasy, gambling, player prop bets, anything you want. Do you think that the New York Giants make it to the playoffs? They already have. They clinched actually the playoffs last week, so no worries there. User 67. The New York Giants have made the playoffs. What teams are going to bench their starters? Well, the New York Giants are one of them. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are another. So those are two teams you're going to want to avoid this upcoming week. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports, here to give you all your game pick, total play, and player prop bets advice. Steelers or Browns? I love the Steelers this week. Steelers on the money line is one of my favorite bets of the week. I also really like the under in that game as well. George Pickens or Randall Cobb? I'll lean just slightly towards George Pickens. Jags versus Chargers in the playoffs. Wow, it's a really tough game. I'm going to lean just slightly towards the Chargers, but I think it's going to be a really competitive game. As for the Ravens and whoever they get to play, I like the other team. I think the Ravens have real problems. I think Lamar Jackson right now, he has the opportunity to come back and practice. He's choosing not to. I think the Ravens are in a problem. Mikey K, our biggest supporter. Mikey K, so appreciate your support. I know you're following us, Mikey K. Appreciate all the support you show us, man. Are the Vikings, Raiders, and Cowboys or Chiefs benching their starters? So what I've heard is the Vikings are going to play their starters. The Raiders are going to play their starters. I think the Cowboys will as well. Chiefs too. So I actually think all those teams are going to play their starters. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Let's do a quick poll, our first quick poll of this hour. Let's do a quick poll. The quick poll I have, will the Steelers make the playoffs? Will the Steelers make the playoffs? Smiley face yes, crying face no. Let's do a quick poll. Will the Steelers make the playoffs? Smiley face yes, crying face no. What do you guys think? Will the Steelers make the playoffs? Smiley face yes, crying face no. In order for Pittsburgh to make it, the Patriots have to lose to the Bills, the Dolphins have to lose to the Jets, and the Steelers have to win. Smiley face yes, crying face no. Do the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs? Appreciate all of you joining us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Will the Steelers make the playoffs? Smiley face yes, crying face no. For them to make it, the Patriots would have to lose to the Bills, and the Dolphins would have to lose to the Jets, as well as obviously the Steelers winning their game against the Browns. Smiley face yes, crying face no. Will the Steelers make the playoffs? Coming down to the final few seconds, smiley face yes, crying face no. Looks like the no's are going to take it, but I'm going in the other direction. I think the Patriots are going to lose to the Buffalo Bills whenever that game is played, and I think the Dolphins don't have a starting quarterback right now, so I like the Jets in that game. And as for the Steelers, if all they have to do is win, I think they will. So I like the Steelers sneaking their way into the playoffs. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us at Fumble Sports. And go check out our website, buttfumblesports.com. Tucker 410, what about Detroit? I don't think Detroit's going to make the playoffs. First of all, I think the Seahawks are going to win their game against the Rams. So even before the kickoff of the Packers-Lions game, I think the Lions will know that they can't make it into the playoffs. That said, I think the Packers are going to win that game anyways. I like the Packers on the money line in that one. Is that parlay worthy, those 3 games? I think so, Blease. I think so. Absolutely. What if Stafford plays? Stafford's not playing. Baker Mayfield's playing. I think he's a better option anyways. Who will the Chargers play in the playoffs? Well, right now, I believe they'd be playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, which to me is as good a matchup as you could get. That could be an AFC Championship preview of 2024. Lawrence versus Herbert matchup. That's a great playoff matchup for a lot of reasons. I think that's a really entertaining game. And because it's in Jacksonville, I think you're going to get good conditions and opportunities for a lot of points. So that would be a lot of fun. Is Romeo Doubs worth starting? Absolutely. I think Doubs is actually a good play. Yo, Cubby, if you called Packers 5 weeks ago, good on you. I did not see that being the case. I thought someone would ultimately emerge like the Washington Commanders or the Seahawks, but the Packers, I think it's what Roger Goodell wanted. He wanted Tom Brady in the big dance. He wanted Aaron Rodgers in the big dance, and that's exactly what he got. Last week I had Josh Allen and opponent had McPherson. I was down 12. You think I would have won? Yeah, I think you would have. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us at Fumble Sports. And yes, I do have the Jaguars winning their game against the Titans as well and getting into the playoffs. So I do like Jacksonville as well. Make sure you follow us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't count out the Lions yet. They're not afraid of Aaron. I would tend to agree. The only problem is Aaron Rodgers has some good stats against them. I know they beat him last time, but Aaron Rodgers at home, I feel like Rodgers is the better pick. Is ETN going to play this week? Absolutely. Jacksonville has everything on the line. They can't take anything for granted. So I expect Jacksonville to actually be one of the most competitive teams this week. I think they're going to play all their starters. Do I really think the Jets are going to win? Yeah, they have a starting quarterback and the Dolphins don't. I'd rather have Mike White than whoever the Dolphins are going to roll out there. Teddy Bridgewater has a dislocated pinky. Obviously, Tua's not going to play. So who is it? Skylar Thompson against a Jets defense that's actually pretty good. I'll definitely take the Jets in that one. No doubt about it. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports. Hit that follow button. Yes, Lucas, we just did a quick poll about this, but absolutely, I think the Steelers are going to get into the playoffs. Appreciate all of you joining us. If you've got questions about NFL Week 17, make sure you throw them in the chat. Jay Bren, yeah, I love coming on and talking sports with all you guys. We put out a lot of content. Appreciate all the support you guys show us. Nolan, what about Raiders 9.5? Love that play. Raiders plus 9.5. I've got the Chiefs on the money line, obviously, and I'm folding that into a number of parlays. But I really like the Raiders plus 9.5. I think that game is going to be closer to a touchdown than I think it's going to be closer to 10 points. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Let's do another quick poll. This next quick poll, which quarterback will have more fantasy points this week? Which quarterback will have more fantasy points this week? Smiling face Justin Herbert, crying face Russell Wilson. Now, one more time to make sure you guys heard it right. Which quarterback will have more fantasy points this week? Smiley face Justin Herbert, crying face Russell Wilson. Let us know what you guys think. Which quarterback's going to have more fantasy points this week? Smiley face Herbert, crying face Russell Wilson. This is one of those random NFL Week 18 questions because normally we know where we'd go, but smiling face Justin Herbert, crying face Russell Wilson. Which quarterback will have more fantasy points this week? Jay Bren's thinking Herbert could get benched, so I know which direction he's going in. Smiley face Herbert, crying face Wilson. Which quarterback will have more fantasy points this week? Chargers are playing the Broncos in Denver. Which quarterback will have more fantasy points? Justin Herbert or Russell Wilson? Smiley face Herbert, crying face Russell Wilson. Smiley face Justin Herbert, crying face Russell Wilson. Final seconds of this poll. You guys are saying Justin Herbert. I'm not going in that direction at all. Even if he does play, I don't see him playing more than one half of football. And I think Russell Wilson has a reason to want to pad his stats. So I think Wilson will have a lot more going in this game. I expect him to have more fantasy points. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Let's do a rapid fire, giving out some of my picks for the 425 games. There are a number of games. They're all kicking off at 425. In the Cardinals 49ers, obviously, I like the 49ers on the money line. For Chargers Broncos, I would take Broncos to cover that one. On Dallas Washington, I would definitely take the Cowboys on the money line. For Giants Eagles, I would take Eagles on the money line. And for Rams Seahawks, I would take the Seahawks on the money line. I would parlay all those picks together. One more time, this would be the parlay I would build around the 425 games on Sunday. San Francisco on the money line, Denver to cover, Dallas on the money line, Philadelphia on the money line, and Seattle on the money line. That would be a parlay I would play for the 4:25 p.m. games on Sunday. Appreciate all of you guys joining us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Gene, if you want to get my best bets, make sure you subscribe at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You'll get all of my game picks. I also put out my 2 best bets on Instagram at Fumble Sports and on Twitter at Sports Fumble, so make sure you're following. Christian Kirk, 80-plus receiving yards. Let me check my research. Boop, 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 boop. So, man, 80 yards? No, I don't like that. I don't like him getting 80 yards. That's not happening. By the way, I hope the Seahawks do lose. I'm not a hater of the Seahawks. The only reason I hope they lose is I want that Lions-Packers game to have meaning. I want that game to have meaning, especially for the Lions. So if the Seahawks ended up losing, I'd be fine. I know it would bust that parlay that I just gave out. I think they're ultimately going to win, though, given that they're at home and they're playing the Rams. But I would be okay with it because I'd love to see the Lions in a competitive game on Sunday night. What do I think about the Indy-Houston game? Tucker, I love the under in that game. Tucker, I love the under in that game. The real Caleb Bradley. I know you're a loyal follower. Appreciate the support you've shown us this year. Start Pacheco, Caleb Bradley. I think it's a safe play. I think Pacheco will get opportunities with the ball. Let Baker cook, says Blease. First of all, I want to make sure I shout out Blease. Appreciate all the support you show us, Blease, and you helping us out with our broadcast. Allen or Fields this week? Well, Justin Fields isn't playing. Nathan Peterman will be playing for the Bears. No Justin Fields, so that's an easy answer. I don't know when the Bills will be playing their game. I know it's scheduled for 1 p.m. against New England. But that said, whenever the Bills do play, I think Allen will be a start. What happens with fantasy for Week 17? I think the league has moved on. I think fantasy owners need to move on as well. I don't think anything's going to happen with that game. I don't think it's going to be played again. So I think you just have to consider that those players just don't get points for that week. Make sure you follow us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Derrick Henry to get over 92.5 rushing. Over 92.5 rushing yards. Let me check that. I want to check that stat. So, Derrick Henry career stats against Jacksonville. He averages 100 yards a game against Jacksonville, and he has more than 100 in his last 3 consecutive games. Okay, Derrick Henry over 92.5 rushing yards. I like that one. I also like him for an anytime touchdown as well. That would definitely be a bet that I'd make. Aaron, I don't know what ESPN Fantasy, I mean, I guess you could do anything, but my leagues aren't. Appreciate all of you joining us. If you've got questions about NFL Week 18, we've got answers, whether it's game picks, total plays, player prop bets. We're here for just a few more minutes answering all of your fantasy questions. We'll probably do one more game poll, we'll do one more poll as well. Here, let's do that last poll. Okay, let's do that last poll. Which team covers the spread? Smiley face Lions, crying face Packers. Which team covers the spread? Smiling face Lions, crying face Packers. Which team's going to cover the spread? Smiling face Lions, crying face Packers. Which team is going to cover the spread? Which team covers the spread on Sunday night? Smiling face Lions, crying face Packers. What do you guys think? Smiling face Lions, crying face Packers. What do you guys think? Which team covers the spread? Tucker, I'll give those out in just 1 minute. This poll's not getting a lot of activity, so smiling face Lions, crying face Packers. Which team covers the spread? Spread's 4.5, so that's Lions plus 4.5. Smiling face, Packers minus 4.5, crying face. What do you guys think? Final seconds of this poll. Clearly not getting a lot of activity on this one. You guys have the Lions. I could see that happening. I think the Lions will cover. Okay, Tucker, one more time. Let me give out my bets for Sunday. Tucker, one more time. Let me give out my bets for Sunday. This does include the Patriots-Bills game. I don't know if we'll get that game on Sunday. I don't know how the NFL is going to schedule it, but I'll give out all my picks right now. So my picks for Saturday are Chiefs on the money line, Raiders to cover plus 9.5 and the over. For Saturday, 8:15, I like Jacksonville on the money line. I like Jacksonville to cover, and I love the under. For the Patriots-Bills game, I like the Bills on the money line. I like the Patriots to cover, and I like the under. For the Browns-Steelers game, I like Pittsburgh on the money line, and I like the under. For Jets-Dolphins, I like Jets to cover, and I like the under. For Buccaneers-Falcons, I like Falcons on the money line, and I like the under. For Carolina at New Orleans, I'm not betting it. I'm passing on that game. For Texans-Colts, I have the under. Texans-Colts, I have the under. For Vikings-Bears, I have the Vikings on the money line. Vikings on the money line. My Sunday 4 p.m. game, Sunday 4:25, I like San Francisco on the money line. I like Denver to cover. I like Dallas on the money line. I like Philadelphia on the money line. And I like the Seahawks on the money line. And finally, the last bet I like of the week, I like the Packers on the money line, and I like the Lions to cover. Those are the Butt Fumble Sports picks for NFL Week 18. If you didn't catch those, make sure you follow us at Butt Fumble Sports. I put out all of my picks on Twitter, at Sports Fumble. Make sure you follow us. You'll get all of my picks on Twitter, at Sports Fumble on Twitter, and of course on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, at Butt Fumble Sports. You can get all of my picks as well as game pick videos, player prop bets, and of course my rants. After every game, I put out a rant video giving you my take, why it mattered, what was important, what it means for you, and for the teams that played. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports, and if you have questions about fantasy, we're definitely here to answer them as well. Who do I pick up for Saquon Barkley since he's not playing? Go check out some of the players on the waiver wire, Alejandro. Let us know who they are, and we'll pick from that group. Canes and Hawks, Walker, Algier, Henry, McKinnon, pick 3. I would go Walker, I'd go Henry, and I'd go McKinnon. Walker, Henry, McKinnon. The real Caleb Bradley asks, start J.K. Dobbins? Absolutely, yep, start J.K. Dobbins. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us at Fumble Sports. I just gave out all of my picks for NFL Week 18. If you missed them, make sure you're following us. I'll give them out again. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at Fumble Sports. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. We're going to be live for just a few more minutes. Here. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. What is a TikTok galaxy? Interesting. Make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. All right, we're going to jump off live now. Appreciate all of those who have been joining us. If you've got questions, feel free to DM us at Fumble Sports on Instagram. Just make sure you're following us. We will be doing live pregame shows for Saturday and for Sunday, so make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and at Sports Fumble on Twitter. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. We'll be back. Make sure you're following us. That way you know when we go live on Saturday and Sunday morning. Appreciate all you guys joining us. We'll be back later this week.